Welcome everyone to this episode of Chat Prompts Master Series. In this video, we will look at some of the essential prompts that you can use at your workplace. Obviously, chapters will be there in the video, so feel free to skip around to whichever one is more useful to you. If you haven't watched the introductory video, do so to understand how the course structure works. Now, let's get into it. So I have ChatGPT open here, and I'm going to be using the default 3.5 model instead of the GPT-4. Just so to ensure that most people who has the free version can still follow the instructions along. Now we'll be going over some really interesting prompts, but at first I want to start with some basic ones like getting your emails written through ChatGPT. Now recently I had an employee who was bringing in a white noise machine to the office because it helps him to concentrate on his work, and some of the other employees were complaining about it, and I obviously had a conversation, but I want to take that example here and get ChatGPT to write an email for us. Now a prompt like this, which is basically write an email to make John aware of his white noise machine is distracting to other employees, make sure the email is considerate of John's feelings and offers a few alternatives as well. This is a basic example of how you would write an email. You would first ask exactly what you would want the email to be about, and John is a hypothetical name that I've chosen. The next part is just giving a bit of a context of what I want the email to be like. So in this scenario, I don't want to hurt John's feelings at all, and I want him to stay motivated, and for that I also want to give him some alternatives with that one specific instruction. As you can see, ChatGPT writes a pretty good email on the instructions provided. It does go over what the issue is, and it has come to our attention that the white noise machine is causing a distraction, and then it also talks about in a more amicable way that, you know, what we want everybody to be productive, be able to concentrate on their work, and the noise level is making it difficult for them to focus on their work, and also suggest a few alternatives like noise cancellation headphones or moving to a quieter area. This is exactly what we wanted. Now what I really want to show you guys is the fact that we can change the tone. So for example, this email is a little more direct. I want this to be written in a little more friendlier tone. To do that, I could just be like rewrite the above email in a little more friendlier tone. So if you go over the two emails, you'll be able to see, you know, they replace, like, you know, it has come to our attention with, we have received some feedback, and there are some other changes here as well that just sounds a little more friendlier. And again, you're not just restricted to a friendlier tone. You could use any kind of emotion to dictate the tone. You can be, you know, more authoritative, you can be confident, and there's like several other tones that you can use. But just keep in mind that when it comes to ChatGPT, since its release, it has gone through a lot of different updates where it won't write communications for you, which is rude or very direct. Now say for whatever reason, I already had the conversation with John beforehand, and we already talked about every single one of these things, and I just want all of this to now send out to him in an email, but like in a very concise manner. So I could just use something like rewrite the above email and make it concise, and as you can see, it rewrites the entire email, does not really lose any of the information that was there, but just mentions a one-liner on everyone. Now this can be really useful in a lot of different scenarios where you have a lot of notes which you have already spoken to people about, and you just want the exact points to be communicated in a more concise way. Now that you understand that you can change the tones and make things more concise, I want to jump into the really fun and cool prompts. So the next one we'll be looking at is for proofreading. Now you could just simply give ChatGPT a small passage, and you could just be like, you know, can you proofread this for grammar, spelling, whatnot, and I give you like a fixed version of it. However, I have a few employees whose first language is not English, and I wanted to give them a prompt that not only just, you know, gives them a fixed version of the text that they're trying to write, but also highlights the specific changes that ChatGPT is making and what error is that exactly and why the changes are done. The other thing to understand here is when you give ChatGPT a text, it will give you a fixed version of that text, but it may not change a lot of the writing styles in there. And when you're asking ChatGPT to proofread more frequently, what you would ideally want to also learn is, you know, how can you write better in the future? And for that, you need a little bit of an idea on how to construct sentences so that then you can, like, you know, learn that process of it and then like apply that in your future writing styles. So I wanted to give them not only like a fixed version of what their text would be, but I wanted to give them the entire thing. Let me show you what I mean. So this is the prompt I created. It basically prompts ChatGPT to act as a professional proofreader, and it also says that, you know, there's going to be two outputs, a revised output and a reconstructed output. The revised output is going to fix all of the grammars and the punctuations, spelling, tense, etc. And it's going to create a table of what the error types were, what the regional and corrections are, and give an explanation for each and one of them. The reconstructed output would not only fix the grammar, but also improve the sentence structure and provide better readability. And it's also going to include an explanation on the reconstruction that ChatGPT did, which is aimed to better your understanding of proper writing. Let's look at how this prompt works. And just for anybody who wants to understand how to create prompts like this, I will be making a deep dive video on this. So watch out for that one in the next few days. So I have a text here, which I wrote purposely in this way where there's a lot of spelling mistakes, grammar, and obviously the sentences are constructed in a very poor manner. And I want to see how ChatGPT with this specific prompt handles. There you go. That's the output that ChatGPT produced. And if you look at this, you have two things. Obviously this says, if you're thinking of this, then you have consider what I said to you before. This is a plan was created again, and we have to follow it for the best productive work. As you can see, it's just written in a very bad way. Now this one is the revised version of this specific one. If you look at this one and if you look at this one, you have what, say for example, a lot of like the basic grammar fixing extensions would do, but it's still written in the same exact way that you had written. And that way of writing may not be the ideal way, but you have every single one of the changes made down here in a nice little table format, which is like super easy to read. It goes over the error types here, exactly what error types, so you have an understanding of what it's kind of fixing, and it gives you an explanation of every single one of these corrections, so you have a little bit of context of what corrections it made and why it made them. But down below, for anybody who's interested, it also gives you a reconstructed output where it says, to achieve the most productive work, we must follow the plan that was previously created. Although I attempted to use the application before, it did not work as intended. However, I made the necessary changes and created the application again, making it the best option available. You get the point. It's just written in a much more structured manner, and it also tells you that the original text has several errors in grammar, spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, and it tells you that in the reconstructed output, I have improved the readability of the text by restructuring the sentences, using proper grammar, and removing redundant phrases. Right off the bat, for anybody who's trying to also like get better at the language, they would understand, okay, removing redundant phrases would be a way for them to be better at writing. Now, you have to keep in mind that prompt is not going to give you the exact same answer. Like if I were to try this on the same text again, it would give me a little bit of a different answer. Obviously, this text had a lot of issues, but when you try it with different kinds of texts, you'll find that throughout the process of doing this more and more time, you will always be learning something or the other to improve your writing style. So for anybody who wants to use this prompt, just pause the video here and like pretty much rewrite it on your end, or you can also click the link below in the description. It's available for free. All right, the next one we're going to look at is a topic explorer prompt. This is a prompt that I created quite a while back, and I use this prompt almost all the time, right? This is like one of my go-to prompts. And the way it works is, say for example, you're working at your job, all of a sudden management comes and tells everybody that we're going to be implementing lean processes throughout the company, and we're going to have some meetings over the next few days. Let's say you have no idea what lean processes are, and you want to make sure you have some idea before the meeting start. Maybe you just want to understand the context better, or you want to be able to like, contribute to the meetings as well, so that like you come across as somebody who understands the concept a little more clearer, right? That's always nice to be able to like, be one of those people in those meetings. Maybe you might get some important responsibilities when they start the process. So let me show you how this prompt will work. A couple things. This one basically prompting ChatGPT to act as an experienced topic explorer. And I'm saying that I'm going to give you a topic, and then you're going to provide me with an overview of the topic, and also in a table format, you're going to give me the important concepts, and then at the end, you're going to give me some directions to learn further. Now, the goal behind this, and the reason I created the prompt in this specific way, is because one, when I'm learning something new that I've maybe just heard about before, or I have no real understanding of it, I don't want to understand everything about it at the same time. I just want a simple definition of what it is, and then I want maybe like just some concepts so I understand understand like, how the different elements of that idea or the topic works. And then I want to understand, what directions can I go with this to learn further on it. Like you learn something and you're like, okay, now what? It takes out that now what, and it gives you like, 3-4 directions that you can sort of now think about. Now let me show you that in an example. So as you can see, it talks about lean processes, gives you a bit of an idea as to what obviously lean processes refer to a set of principles and practices aimed at improving efficiency and reducing waste in manufacturing and service industries. So you have a bit of an idea as to what it is just by reading the first line. And then it talks about, sort of who were the sort of like the pioneers of lean processes and how it sort of came about. And then it gives you a few different concepts within lean processes that gives you a little bit of the explanation of these concepts, and also gives you a little bit of an actionable example that just helps you understand the explanation a little better. Right off the bat, if you can see that up until this much, you have a very foundational idea about what lean processes are. And now once you understand these, you have a little bit about the directions you can take. You can go and learn more about the history and how it sort of came about and how they were developed, and like, all the like the stories that sort of gave birth to the concept of lean process. You can learn about like all the different principles of it. You can like, look at some of the researches. When you read these, you will have an understanding of what is your purpose of learning this. And again, you can just continue this conversation and you could just ask it to like expand on this. That's it. You just continue the conversation and you keep learning through ChatGPT itself. And obviously you can take it to Google or Microsoft Bing to get a more of the recent data about it. All right, the last one we're going to look at is also a very interesting and one of my absolute favorites. So it's called like an idea consultant. And the concept of it is, say for example, we talked about the lean process, and say if same thing happens, your management comes and tells you that they're going to introduce lean processes in the company. But now you're thinking, well, I want to be able to like contribute in some way or the other. I want to be like an important player in this entire implementation, and maybe that will help you secure a promotion or get a bonus or something like that, right? But you just don't know where to begin. You can obviously do the topic exploration and like understand the concept, but that doesn't really give you an idea. And the main problem is, what if people find my idea stupid? We all suffer through this many given times where we think it's just, I have no idea about this, people are just gonna like think whatever I throw out there as a stupid idea, and like I'm just gonna make a fool out of myself and don't want to say anything, right? So instead of this, you can use a prompt like this to sort of help you understand. Let me show you what I mean. So you see, this prompt is basically asking ChatGPT to become a professional idea consultant. The way I use it is I'll just tell ChatGPT what my desire is, like what I really want to do, and it will guide me through a conversation and to learn about the context, potential drawbacks, opportunities, and risks, and then help me at the end figure out an actionable idea with an initial task list. It's just ChatGPT is now going to stop asking you different questions until it leads you to have an idea like that's actionable, and also gives you a little bit of like the next steps. So let's try. So I'm just gonna write here, I want to help with lean process in my company. Simple, right? That's my desire. So right off the bat, as you can see, ChatGPT is asking me, can you tell me a little bit more about your company? Also, what inspired you to focus on the lean process? So for example, I work in a software company that builds CRM for legal clients. They have a software team, a sales and marketing team, and management as well. And I'm telling it a little bit about who I am. So like, I work in the marketing team and I help with the design. Now I'm not answering these specific questions because I still don't know what kind of lean process I want to introduce. So now, as you can see, ChatGPT is saying that, can you tell me more about the specific lean process you have in mind? But then it's also saying, are there any areas in particular that you would think would benefit from becoming more lean, right? Now, obviously, one of the things about lean is cutting down waste. And based off of that, I'm just putting this together that, I think we try a lot of designs and they get rejected a lot, but I'm not sure how lean processes work. So I don't know what to do exactly, right? You see, ChatGPT understands, okay, you do not really know what lean processes are, but you gave ChatGPT a bit of an idea as to what you think is a problem in your team. And it then says, all right, it seems like you're looking to streamline your design process and reduce the amount of rejected designs, right? It just understands that and then gives you a few lean processes that might be helpful in that specific scenario. So for example, the value stream mapping, Kaizen events, and A3 problem solving. Now to it, I'm responding that I like the value stream mapping idea. What can I do with that? Right off the bat, you can see that we started with, I want to help with lean process in my company. And it took me through an entire conversation. It gave me some ideas that are genuinely helpful for my team. And then when I chose one of those ideas, it gave me the entire next steps in a proper manner. Now I have something that I can really do. Now I can use the topic explorer prompt to deep dive into the concept of it. So now imagine if you would have said this in your meeting versus now you can just directly say that I think like value stream mapping would really help us waste less time on iterating designs, right? And say, for example, somebody asks you, well, how do you think we can achieve that? And you can be like, all right, we can start with defining the scope of it. Then we can create a current state map. We can identify the areas of waste. Now you sound so much more knowledgeable in that subject and you have so many ideas to give your team, right? And guys, because of the video and because of time, I'm trying to go through this example really quick, but in a genuine scenario, I promise you this prompt, even though as simple as it is going to lead you to some amazing revelations. So for sure, go try this. Okay, that's all for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you found value in it, and share it with others if you think others will as well. Subscribe for more of these, and let's keep learning. See you on the next one.